Hey, fourth grade, how's it going? Hopefully you guys are doing well. I miss you guys. I hope everything's okay and you are safe. I wish we were back in class, but since we are not, let's get started with today's lesson. We are on day 5 of the DCPS packet. We are going to be publishing or first revising our projects that we are hopefully going to have already drafted. We are going to revise and then publish today, talk about that process, and then talk about next steps for enrichment. Let's go ahead and share my screen. Remember, I am doing the comic book option for the day 5. So if you chose to do the diary or the short story option, go ahead and stop this video here, hop on over to Mr. Freeman's video for the diary option or Miss Rose's video for the short story option and watch theirs, because this is just for the comic book, the comic strip option. So if you did not choose that project option, you don't need to watch this video. Go ahead and hop over to theirs, because this project had 3 options. You only had to choose one. All right, so we are on DCPS packet week 1, day 5. Today's task, we are going to complete a first draft if you haven't. So if you haven't already completed that first draft based on the plan that we did yesterday, go ahead and do that. Pause the video right now, because now we're going to step into revising and then publishing and making sure we share our work, because as a published author, you always want to make sure you share your work with somebody. And then we're going to talk about enrichment opportunities at the end. All right, so you have this first draft done. You've planned, you had time to go over your plan, and you got a first draft done. Here's my first draft all finished. I have all 6 boxes finished. I have them colored. Now, I need to really think about, as a writer, my revision process, because I always know when I have something done, I'm not done. This is a first draft, and I can always make it better. So as a writer, and as a comic book writer, I'm also an illustrator. So how am I going to make this better? So I'm going to look at the rubric, and you guys have this in your project packet. How am I going to make this better? So I'm going to demonstrate today kind of the 3 focus areas for one of the boxes that I chose to do the example. So really one of my focus boxes that I'm going to show you guys an example was this last box, box 6. So I'm going to show you guys how I focused on adding dialogue, sensory details, and feelings. Also in this elaboration box, I showed why characters did what they did by including their thinking. And then in this last box, the organization, the actions and dialogues and feelings. So I really added to that, because as you can see in the next one, it was super blank, and then I added a ton of detail. I added all these speech bubbles. I added this thought bubble as well, because they were also thinking about the Liberty Tea name. They were also thinking about all these people who had said yes. I also added 3 speech bubbles to let them know what was going on. I also added full frame people. Just so many more details were added to this to give my reader a better picture of what was going on. The word yes even was added, because in the text it said everybody said yes, and that was a big deal, that everybody was in favor of this declaration. So I took all these little details from the text and I put it in. So see how I revised it from this pretty boring picture and with no text and no words and no dialogue at all into this image. Excuse me. So I want you guys as comic book writers this week to really think about, how can you take each box and revise it? using this rubric, you really need to think about your narrative aspects, the elaboration, the organization, and your language conventions as you think about each aspect. How can you expand the dialogue, the people talking? How can you expand the thought bubbles, the things they're thinking about? How can you make your setting more detailed? Because that's where your sensory details are coming from. What are the people seeing around them? What are they feeling? Is there a strong breeze? Is the sun out? Is it raining? Is it nighttime? What things is going on around your characters? Did it mention that in the text? If you're doing the Boston Harbor act, that's going to be a really vivid setting that you're going to need to create. Things like transition words for your reader probably aren't going to apply to a comic strip, but things like sequencing are going to super apply. You're just going to need to think about that as you go through your order. You can't spend 4 boxes on something that took 2 lines in the story. Okay? So, once you get done revising and thinking about how you're going to make it better, that's when you go and you do like I did in the next one, and you're actually going to publish your final one. So you're going to have 6 brand new boxes in your final draft. And then you're going to show somebody. So show a family member, show a friend, FaceTime somebody, ask to jump into Microsoft Teams with Ms. Danforth or I, or Mr. Freeman and Mr. Benjamin. Bring it to your class meetings. If you're Mr. Freeman and Benjamin's class, you guys meet on Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. If you're with Ms. Danforth and I, we meet Thursdays and Fridays for community meetings. So bring your published work to our meetings and show your classmates. That's a perfect time to show off your published work, okay? Here are our enrichments. So some additional reading and writing opportunities is after you read the play, act it out. If you have mom, dad, brother, sister, cousins in your house, act it out. That's a perfect time to use your literacy skills. Interview a courageous woman in your life. Learn more about what she has done to contribute to her community and how she wants to be remembered. This is such a cool thing. Think about a courageous woman in your life right now. Who's a woman who has courage? All right, I got one. My mom has courage. So I could interview my mom, and I could ask her how she contributes to her community and how she wants to be remembered. I could write it down and then figure out how to share that information. This is such a cool opportunity, and if you choose this option, I really want to know what you did, okay? And then the last option is choose another project from the product menu to complete. So if you chose the comic strip, either do the diary or the short story, okay? And if you do that, you get some extra credit. If you do any of these options, you'll get some extra credit. So let me know. Either send me a text or call me, okay? The other options are some technology enhanced options. So if you have access to technology, either a phone, a tablet, or a computer, you can click on any of these links below. They're going to be linked in the description below, okay? All right, if you guys have any questions, of course, as always, comment below, or we're always free via text or call, or Microsoft Teams. We're available during our community meeting times to bring questions. So jot down a question and bring it, because I bet some of your classmates have that same question. All right, as always, missing you guys. See you later. Have a good one.